Heavenly Sword launched on September 12th, 2007, 10 months after the launch of the PS3.
$599 US.
Only 3.63 million PS3s were sold in the first year compared to 10 million PS2s. Being developed by the team that made Kung Fu Chaos and with trailers that looked sick in ways we'd never seen before at the time, the early footage and trailers for Heavenly Sword are what kept me excited to be an overly intense PS3 fan back then. When Heavenly Sword launched, it received generally pretty solid reviews, but the same can't be said about the sales charts. I truly believe that this game would have been huge if it released later in the generation. This game, theatrical movie, and animated miniseries are all largely forgotten, or just entirely unheard of for some generations, so we're going to be covering everything to do with this almost trilogy. Let's do this then. This is
Heavenly Sword.
Prior to release, Sony released the first 2 episodes of the Heavenly Sword animated series for free on the PlayStation Store, and it gave us a prequel to the story. The animated series shows the introduction of the Raven King. Some say he was a mortal, a warlord. Some say he rose from hell itself. He began destroying villages, burning them to the ground, and seemingly attempting to destroy humanity itself. An enormous white light then appeared from the sky with the silhouette of a heavenly figure wielding a heavenly blade. After an enormous battle, the heroes saved their world, defeating the Raven King. After that, the warrior vanished from the earth, leaving only his weapon behind. Salvation and peace weren't enough. Humanity began going to war over who would wield the Heavenly Sword. It changed hands multiple times, but those who wielded it would eventually be consumed by it. They would receive an agonizing and inevitable death. The sword became a curse on the land until it eventually landed in the hands of the clan. They decided to keep the sword, hiding it from the world to protect mankind until the foretold future when the Heavenly Warrior returns to reclaim their weapon. Bohan fights with dignity, but honor was a quality that he didn't have. After losing a battle to become king, Bohan takes the crown by poisoning the old king of the land, his father. He wants to become more than a king though. He wants to become a god, and for that, he's going to need the Heavenly Sword. It was written that the Heavenly Warrior would return on the year of the Fire Horse on the 5th day to lead mankind to salvation. Every generation, warlords would attempt to take the sword, resulting in endless battles for the weapon, and every generation, the clan destroyed them. Until at last, the Heavenly Warrior would return on that fateful day. A boy savior, the most important day in history. What was born was not the Heavenly Warrior. It was a little girl. The prophecy was a lie. All the bloodshed and pain spent protecting the sword was for nothing. The mother even died during the birth, all for a
Worthless girl.
Shen had to decide whether to kill the girl then and there or allow her to grow. Ultimately, he chose to let her grow, alone, despised, blamed for every loss of the clan. Through those years though, Shen, her father, trained her to become an honorable warrior until the day when Bohan shows again. Heavenly Sword starts at the end. The opening mission is one of the coolest tech demos the PS3 ever gave us. The sheer number of enemies on screen is absolutely absurd, and it lets you spam the circle button to perform endless super attacks that look mind-blowing even at 15 frames a second. This is the first mission, but shortly after this, the game does the Naughty Dog thing where it goes... Meet Nariko and Kai. Nariko is played by Anna Torv, who you may know from Fringe, where she plays the main character. Or maybe you know her from the Last of Us TV show, where she plays as Tess. Or maybe you know her from Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, where she plays as Trip, the character I named my dog after. This is my dog. A common misconception is that they're sisters, but that isn't true. They're just friends. Nariko saved Kai. She found her suffering, dying and living off of eating cockroaches.
Kai was alone once. I ate cockroaches. But Nariko found Kai. And Kai wasn't alone. And Nariko wasn't alone either.
They're running back home to the clan's castle to protect it from King Bohan. Bohan is played by Andy Serkis, who you might know as the guy who played as Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and Monkey in Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. Bohan is one of my favorite villains in any game. Honestly, he's up there with Vaas from Far Cry or Homelander. The way his lines are delivered is just so perfect every single time.
Steady. What have I told you about calling me that word? It's bad enough seeing you blot out the sun each day without being reminded that you sprang from my youthful and exuberant loins. Sorry, Daddy.
Nariko, her father Shen, Kai, and the rest of the clan prepare to defend, but are trapped like rats from Bohan and his massive army.
Even rats can become tigers when trapped.
And tigers make great trophies when skinned.
Enough!
Combat at the start of the game is very basic, but this will change a lot soon. For the start, you only have the speed stance, and with it, you can do a ton of different combos by pushing mixes of square and triangle. All the combos look absolutely sweet and are fun to watch. Blocking is done by just standing still, but you can only block enemies' speed attacks, which are blue. You can counter if you do a perfectly timed triangle hit, and you can roll with the right stick, but that's about it for the combat until Nariko gets the sword.
Twin Twin. Is it playtime?
Yes, Kai, it's playtime. Playing as Kai is very different than Nariko. The first Kai mission shows you how to use the arrows. Basically, you aim with the left stick, annoyingly, and you shoot with R1. As you can see, you hold the R1 button to control the arrows once you shoot. By default, it uses the gyro and the PS3 controller. If you don't turn this off in the settings menu, all the enemies are going to break through in this first mission and you'll have to fight them all off as Nariko. We'll go more in depth with these arrow missions later on. This is the Heavenly Sword. The sword that was forged in heaven by a deity, the one that no mortal is ever meant to wield, and the one that slowly kills anybody who does tempt to use it. After Nariko showed how strong she was protecting the castle, Shen entrusts her with protecting the sword from Bohan. Nariko single-handedly fights off the entire army by hopping on this cannon. This game was released in 2007 near the launch of the PS3. Are you seeing this? These explosions mixed with the insane number of people. It feels so cool flying these cannonballs through the air, lining it up, and just watching the thing explode while you fly your second shot. Just the sheer number of enemies that you can actually interact with is still mind-blowing to me. Nariko can't actually fight them all off. She's just holding them back while Shen and Kai escape from the castle. It seems insane that Shen wouldn't just take the sword with him if he's going first, but whatever. Eventually, Nariko does follow them.
Well, if it isn't the underdressed angel.
Get out of here, Alex. You're not gonna like this game's frame rate. See, Heavenly Sword runs at an unlocked frame rate up to 60, but typically sticks around the 30 FPS mark if you're lucky. Large-scale battles can easily dip the frame rate into the low teens, and the near constant screen tearing is always really annoying. If you're sensitive to fluctuations in frame rate, just play an RPCS 3 on PC. This game runs like a dream on there if you don't care about having the authentic experience. So Nariko ends up fighting her way until...
Father!
Dear me, such a heavy sword for such a fragile creature. Come, child, let me take your burden.
Never! Leave me, Nariko! Get the sword away from here! The line must not be broken!
Perhaps I'm not making myself clear. I have something of yours, and you have something of mine.
Bohan, always wanting what you have no comprehension of. Run, Nariko!
No, that wouldn't be wise. That wouldn't be wise at all.
Every lifetime has one moment. You stand alone and you see it all so clearly. To save my father's life, I betray his whole reason for living. I know it's death I'm holding now. Did I ever have a choice?
This is where the combat truly shines. The Heavenly Sword has 3 different stances. You get a heavy stance if you hold R1, a very light ranged stance if you hold L1, and of course you've still got the speed stance if you don't hold either of them. There's a color associated with each stance. Basically, you can only block or counter an orange attack if you're in the heavy stance. Likewise with the blue attacks, which you'll need to be in speed stance to block or counter. There's no way to block or counter if you're in the range stance. This adds so much depth compared to an Arkham-style counter system. You need to watch every enemy on the screen to see what color attack they're going to try to hit you with, and later enemies are going to require you to memorize their order of attacks to get counters in. It's such a cool combat system that really keeps you locked in, twitching your index fingers to snap into different stances for blocks. The way it works is self-explanatory, but it goes above and beyond. Yeah, ranged attacks are wide area of effect in long range. Heavy attacks break shielded enemies, it's slow, but again, you're switching between them constantly. The animations between the swaps are always really cool as well. As you play, there's this bar at the bottom of the screen that fills up depending on how good you're doing. You can also find collectibles that, when you break them, fill your health and fast track you up 1 star on the meter. Each star you get grants you a new combo for one of your stances, and honestly by the end you'll have so many that you can technically just mash buttons in any order with any stance and they'll all flow together beautifully.
Get the sword away from him!
Kill her.
The sword does have power. I can feel it. In fact, I'm counting on it.
Turns out Kai saw where Bohan took Shen, so Nariko heads out to get them back, leaving Kai behind. She does this insane QuickTime event where she slides down a bunch of ropes like in Ratchet & Clank, she fights a bunch of people on top of a rock, and then eventually she cuts the cable holding the rock up, rides it down to the ground, kills a mixture of heavy, medium, and light enemies, completes an extremely annoying aftertouch puzzle where you've got to throw the shield and bounce it to the next shield and... Alright, the puzzles. Ninja Theory should really just never make puzzles. Sorry Hellblade fans, but honestly, every single puzzle in Heavenly Sword plays out the exact same way. You pick up a shield, frisbee it, hit a gong, and it opens a door. Every single puzzle. One of them in particular is absolutely horrible, but we'll get to that soon. Eventually, Nariko gets trapped in a room with Flying Fox, one of Bohan's top guys in the army.
I've been watching you, Nariko. You fight with style. Hello! Style!
The first boss battle with Fox is pretty lame and pretty easy, but it's the performances that really make this part interesting. Flying Fox is absolute gold. The way he delivers his lines and all of his weird body movements are just so extreme and exaggerated that he too is one of my favorite characters in anything.
It's a matter of opinion, sweetie.
Did something speak? I can smell something fishy. Like a rotting octopus crawling with slimy maggots.
Flying Fox is the general of Bohan's army. He's responsible for the deaths of an enormous number of Shen's clan, one of which is Kai's mother. We learn this in a flashback later in the game. The trauma from the sudden death of Kai's mother is actually what caused Kai to start acting like a child. Anyway, the first boss battle itself is just a bunch of waves of enemies while Fox smack talks you the entire time. The battle is 3 waves, each broken up with one small smack talking segment.
Tell me, Nariko, do you know how to die?
It never gets annoying, and it's entertaining to listen to the entire time. The fight ends with an absolutely sweet QuickTime event where... Damn it. Okay, one more time. You really have to memorize it. God damn it. The QuickTime events in Heavenly Sword are some of the hardest QuickTime events in any game. It's entirely unforgiving with its timings, and it requires split-second reactions. Even button mashing sequences really require you to mash fast, ideally alternating between 2 fingers so you don't develop carpal tunnel in your thumb. Once she defeats Flying Fox, he just kinda runs away and says he's gonna fight her once she's stronger. Classic. Eventually, Nariko heads to the prison to rescue most of her clan, and they all see her using the sword that's never meant to be wielded by a mortal. This is the first instance of extreme gameplay padding. You've got to climb up this ladder, hit a gong to open the thing, grab a shield, throw it until you get lucky enough to hit this gong, then run around to the other side, grab another shield to hit another gong, then run all the way to the other end of the upper floor, pull a lever, and then, I'm not even kidding, you have to run all the way back to the ladder that you came up. Good lord. Once they're saved, we learn that Shen is being held in a different location. Bohan, Roach, Flying Fox, and Whiptail are all holding Shen hostage.
So where's the sword? General Flying Fox, I will choose to believe that the reason you let it slip through your hands is some elaborate attempt at humoring me, and not because you are an incompetent fool.
I am not a fool, sire.
General, understand this. I need protection. There are those who wish to expunge me. How do you do that?
I shall protect you with my best endeavor, sire. And, of course, the right price, sire.
There's something about that man I don't entirely trust.
The rocket launcher in this game is freaking sick. You can aftertouch the rocket to control it into things, and it just explodes absolutely everything. You can fire without aftertouch too, but it's real bad if you do that. Nariko ends up quick time event jumping up here, fighting a bunch of dudes, jumping down, quick time event jumping up to the other side, fighting a bunch of dudes, and then revealing through a quick time event lever pull. No! After hitting this stupid gong, it opens the door on the other side, so you've got a quick time event jump back down, then quick time jump back up to the other one. Then you just gotta pull the lever and it opens up the door. More gameplay padding. Oh, and remember that Nariko's still up there where she pulled the lever. You still have to quick time event all the way back down again. Nariko ends up finding Shen, who's being guarded by Whiptail. The Whiptail boss battle is by far the least fun boss battle in the entire game. She's also the least interesting character. None of her lines are memorable at all, and she's not really likable in any way. It starts with her sending an enormous amount of enemies to take Nariko out. It's actually a pretty fun battle with a lot of enemies, but Nariko ends up catching up with Shen and revives him with some sort of healing power that she has. Whiptail smack talks Nariko and explains what we learned in the prequel animated series. She learns about her mother here, and she also learns about how her father almost killed her for being born a girl.
You should have done it. You should have killed me.
No.
I have now made that choice for you. Leave me. Good girl. Brave girl.
Nariko,
Leave me.
After sending Shen to the bridge outside where his death surely awaits, I don't know what she was thinking here, she starts up the boss battle with Whip, and boy is it ever repetitive. It begins with Whiptail throwing a bunch of big waves at you. You just range stance them till she gets bored, and then you hit her with a bunch of attacks. The actual fight with her is extremely simple. It's mostly just mashing buttons and dodging whenever she attacks. Once you get into the flow of it, you get to do more rounds of wave hits and melee attacking until...
So it was your master who turned you into a slit-faced psycho! Oh, it's so much better when you're angry.
Phase 2 gets a little more complicated, I guess. She throws waves at you, and if it's a big tsunami-like wave, you use your fast stance to break it. But if she does a small wave, you've got to dodge it. She makes a slightly different sound before every wave attack, and it kind of plays like a Rhythm Heaven minigame, but without the music.
I am what hides in the cold, dark waters of your mind.
Then you can see why you should fear me, sister.
While Nariko's fighting Whiptail, we cut to Shen walking across the bridge while arrows are shot at him. We hear more arrows fly by without hitting anywhere near him, and... it's Kai! This is the second worst part of the game. It's unbelievably boring. Shen slowly, and I mean really slowly, limps across this entire bridge from that end all the way to the other end, and you've got to defend waves of enemies from front and back. It does the split screen effect that the game likes to do, so you can see enemies behind him while you aim down, and then do the slow-mo controllable arrow move to take them out, which it should be cool in theory, but having enemies this far away means you're just spending more time in slow motion. Shen is already walking slow enough. Oh my god, it just goes on forever. There's long sections of this mission where you're just sitting there watching him walk as well while you wait for the enemies to spawn. Oh god, it's just so bad. Once he does finally make it across the bridge, Shen wants to ditch Nariko and let her fate decide itself, but Kai refuses. She heads out on her own to save Nariko.
Oh, most holy ancestors! I've led hundreds of men through life and death, Why do these girls never listen to a word I say?
We then cut back to...
No one will care when I gut you like a stinking fish.
Oh god, why? God, it's the exact same battle again. If you have a certain interest in rave girls and tentacles, the good news is that you can honestly play this with one hand. Just use the right stick to dodge and hit over and over and over and over. You don't need to touch the left stick. The final quick time event sees Nariko doing a sick dive into the ground, killing Whiptail and knocking herself out. Bohan shows up with his guards. He ends up putting Whiptail out of her misery and kidnaps Nariko.
I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to kill that walking flesh-bagged son of yours.
How very interesting. But you see, the sword is mine now, and it is residing safely in my armory with all my other trinkets. Roach, bring her to the pit. It's time for a little celebration.
Kai notices something is up and heads to the Coliseum alone. This is the first mission where we actually play as Kai. Kai in third person can only run and vault over cover. There's no melee combat with her beyond a quick stun attack later. She can't even melee the collectibles. Instead, she uses her arrows. You still hold L1 to aim, and then hold R1 to use the aftertouch. You can tap R1 to shoot, and unfortunately you still aim with the left stick, which... There's a bit more to the Kai gameplay now too though. If you shoot an arrow through fire, you're able to explode explosive barrels or do extra damage to enemies. There's different effects that some enemies have too, like how you've got to headshot armored enemies. Kai then does 3 waves of enemies that increase in speed and numbers each wave. It starts easy, but by the end you'll be running to the back of the arena and just spray firing them with arrows because, well, why not? They can't really get you. Playing as Kai has the exact same locked cinematic camera as Nariko, but you're able to look around in 360 degrees now since she can aim at any point. If you use aftertouch, you're able to fly around the map too, which is crazy. Locked camera trickery can't be used to hide its blemishes here. Kai ends up fighting a couple waves of enemies with a new gimmick. You've got to keep them away from the cranks to open up the gates. You can't hit them once they're turning the crank. Then, she ends up taking out a bunch of sniper enemies that are all taking cover behind a bunch of explosive gigantic boxes for some reason. Kai ends up making her way to Nariko and attempts to save her, but...
You must come home with Kai, like a good girl.
I'm not coming home. Not until I've killed Bohan.
Kai doesn't want to play. I want you to come home now.
Listen to me, Kai. This is not a game. I need for you to understand that. Please, help me get the Heavenly Sword back. Focus, it's in the Armory.
So now Kai has to get to the Armory, where the Heavenly Sword is being kept. It's more of the same long-range arrow killing with a whole lot more explosives, but eventually she reaches the Coliseum just as Nariko joins the battle.
Welcome! What a glorious day this is.
The fight begins with just the regular speed stance sword, but they're all your clansmen that are being held hostage. Even though Nariko used the sword, the clansmen don't actually want to kill her. Bohan will kill the clansmen if they don't fight though. Nariko remembers a cool stun quick time event attack that she learned from her father a long time ago, which temporarily paralyzes people. If you screw up the quick time event, it kills them. Kai ends up finding the Armory, where the sword is being held.
What did you do that for? My ears are ringing now.
Open the door.
I've just finished the meeting. What? Oh, the door. That room's only for commanders. I'll need the correct password.
I'm new here. I don't know it.
Well, I suggest you talk to the commander in the West Tower.
I'll do that.
Yeah, she needs the password though, and to get the password, she's got to talk to the commander in the West Tower. This is probably the peak of the Kai missions. It's really fun. You can use these beams to cross the circular level, and you've got to fight waves and waves of headshot armored guys. There's explosives all over too, which can be exploded if you shoot the arrow through a flame first. Once Kai reaches the commander, he realizes that there's a psycho girl running around killing everybody and is definitely not going to be tricked into giving Kai the password. He's terrified and taking cover in his bunker that's conveniently full of fireworks and explosives for some reason.
armory.
Get lost.
Maybe I'll hit your weak point for massive damage.
Monkey Peaches.
Huh?
The password. It's Monkey Peaches.
Thanks.
Cutting back to Nariko, she's beginning to feel empty without her sword. Roaches Pet is the first mini-boss. You've still just got your basic attack, since for some reason Bohan let you keep your normal sword. Keep in mind that you can't counter heavy hits anymore, so you've got a dodge roll if you see orange. It takes a couple hits and a counter, but it goes down pretty easily, honestly. Back to Kai for the worst part of the game. She's getting chased by guards and ends up riding the world's slowest cable car to the Armory. This is just like the Shen bridge mission, but I mean, the graphics are nice, but no, I mean, this is the slowest cable car. This thing doesn't speed up at any point at all throughout this entire thing. This is the speed she's going at for this entire level. It's another long-range sniping level. The distances that you're firing at are insanely long this time, too. You just shoot the enemies and abuse the explosives every once in a while. It's so easy. That's not even the worst part though. Each time you finish a wave, you have to wait until the preset time when the next wave of enemies spawn. If you kill them all too quickly, then you'll just have to wait. And wait. And wait. You may as well honestly just play a quick game of PlayStation All-Stars Island or something on your phone while you wait for them to spawn in. Eventually, after getting so bored of waiting around and doing nothing, just dying of boredom, the floor collapses for no reason. I have no idea why that happened. This thing didn't even get shot. The rest of the mission is just like that part in The Last of Us. It's all upside down, but you're still stuck on this stupidly slow cable car. Being upside down doesn't affect shooting in any way or invert any controls. It actually has no effect on the game at all, beyond being nauseating. Same thing, kill the enemies, wait forever. My God.
You have to hide, Kai. Now, here among these rocks. No one can get you. I won't be long, I promise. I'll be back soon.
Peekaboo, little one. Oh, yes! Do run, little one. How can I chase you unless you run? I'll count to 10, and then I'm coming for you.
Cut back to Nariko. She's getting swarmed by an army of Roaches Pets now. I was doing just fine here, but I think the game expects you to be overwhelmed. The pets start technically winning, until...
Kai!
She's got the sword now, but just to prove a point, I'm not using it.
Roach, it's your turn now. Take care of her and get me my sword back now. Kill.
Roach boss battle time. Phase 1 of the Roach fight is super fun. You have to make him ram into these things like in Spider-Man on PS1, and then hit him while he's down. Each bar of health ends with a quick time event where you rip off a piece of his shell and a smack-talking scene happens.
Stop playing with her and kill the wretched girl! But she's hurting me! She's hurting my head! It's nothing compared to what I'll do to you!
Oh, you poor little thing. Look!
It's quite easy, but it's pretty fun. Roach is just so dumb and such a likable character that tricking him into bonking into things is just goofy, and I love it. He reminds me of the big dumb pig, which makes sense. He's played by Richard Ridings, the voice actor for Pigsy in Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and General Pig in The Puppeteer, and Daddy Pig in Peppa Pig. This guy is just the ideal voice of a pig.
Idiot! You imbecile! You utter failure!
Kai ends up getting kidnapped by Flying Fox, so you've got to fight waves and waves of Bohan's grunts while you chase Kai and Fox. This whole mission is really fun. It throws a bunch of new things at you. Roaches Pets are fun to fight, and there's even a part where there's a couple of them in cages that if you rescue them, they help you fight the army for a bit. The whole mission's sick. You get these amazing vistas while Nariko's swarmed by healthy mixes of light, medium, and heavy enemies. Kai's screams sound legitimately horrified as you chase them too. The only bad part of this mission is this absolutely horrible puzzle. This is the one I mentioned earlier in the video. Like all the puzzles in this game, you just throw a stupid thing to bounce off a wall and hit a target. This one though, you only get one, maybe two if you're lucky, chances before you've got a QuickTime event mash the X button to raise the Bohan statue again. What lore reason could there possibly be for there being a crank that raises this Bohan thing and holds it there for 2 seconds before lowering again? The target is so close that you can barely aim before the bounce, and since you can't move the camera, it's borderline impossible to accurately position Nariko in any way whatsoever. Mashing X every time sucks so much too. You've got to really mash it like we said earlier, or else it fails and you have to retry. You have to mash it for so long. Eventually you get lucky, and you hit the thing, bounce it off, and it hits the gong. After a quick wave of bow and arrow guys, which you basically just have to range stance to block the arrows, it's, oh god, why, it's another timing based, ninja theory. Eventually, Nariko catches up with Kai and
Nariko, you're just in time. The taste of one so yummy, so delectable. And now you're here to enjoy the spectacle.
it's time for the last Flying Fox boss battle. Huh, collectible boxes that can only be broken with the arrow. Interesting. This fight goes on absolutely forever, but it stays interesting. Fox switches between melee combat and makes you use all 3 stances. Definitely the hardest boss battle so far. He also does this thing where he spawns a bunch of weaker clones of himself that you've got to beat before he comes back down. Sometimes Fox hits you with long-range projectiles too. Countering these shots is annoyingly hard. He basically flies in the air and throws either blue regular attacks or red heavy attacks. You can counter them if you're extremely lucky, but for the most part, you can just block them all with little issue. You just stand still as long as you're in the right stance. See orange? Hold R1. See blue? Stand still. Anyway, eventually, we switch back to Kai. Yeah, that really doesn't make any sense, especially when you realize she was passed out through the entire battle, but whatever. Kai aims her arrow. She fires at the collectible. She fires at the other collectible. And then...
Peekaboo. Asshole.
Style. That's
Nariko takes the now injured Kai back to her father and the clan. She decides to help them.
That is why I am here.
To fight for us?
No. To fight for her.
Nariko was followed here by Bohan's carrier pigeon.
It followed me.
Send this message to your lonesome master. If you have the courage of a real warrior, then you will come and meet our steel. We are ready, Bohan. We are waiting.
The pigeon heads back to Bohan and delivers the message.
We must destroy that female hell hag, that demi-devil, who lures me ever towards her, waiting for the moment when she can sink her slavering jaws into my sacred genitals!
Enemies begin storming the gates. The catapults are harder to kill now. You've got to hit the 2 targets, then blow off the shielding around the 3rd target, and then hit the center one to take them out. While this is happening, you also need to pay close attention to the explosives that the army are rolling down at you. This whole mission is extremely easy, but yet again, absolutely blows my mind that they have something running like this on the PS3. The insane transparency effects mixed with the thousands of enemies on screen at the same time with the large vehicles and the ability to fly through the map still makes my jaw drop. Just amazing. Once the enemies start breaching the gates, all of the craziness in the background continues while Nariko and Shen fight side by side. I tried to see how far I could throw something off the map, but well, it's not very far. An explosive is then placed on the gate. It's now up to Nariko to hold the enemy back on her own while Shen and Kai get out of here. This whole fight is really cool, but if you screw up the initial rocket launcher part, then you have to beat hundreds of enemies till your total enemy count hits 500. The frame rate drops to the low 20s throughout this entire thing while the PS3 fan screams in pain. Nariko runs up to the final 2 catapults and takes them out one at a time in this totally sick quick time event until the fort begins to get overrun. She attempts to retreat back to the clan, but then Bohan shows up.
He's here. Don't you know when you're beaten, Nariko? Kneel before me and I will show mercy to your people. If you resist, then you will all die together.
So many people have died because of this sword. And what did it ever bring them in return? Nothing. Nothing. You have won. You have damned us all. Say my time has come. You hold me captive and you choose this as your moment to destroy me? No. All you do is corrupt. You waste our lives. And what power do you really possess? It's me that's holding you. You can't even kill me. I won't let you kill me.
Demonic witchcraft. Your filthy magic cannot touch me. Kill her!
Nariko's body has been taken over by the sword. She's become a goddess, but death is still imminent. She was still immortal. Bohan begs to the Raven, which showed this ability in the prequel series. He begs it to grant him the power to defeat Nariko and get the sword back.
And only this girl, this beautiful girl, stands in my way. Grant me power.
The Raven turns into smoke, and Bohan vapes it up, turning him into the Raven King. It's heaven versus hell.
A battle between heaven and hell here on Earth, Nariko. Have you stopped to think which side you are really on?
The first phase of the Bohan fight is pretty easy. You just dodge and hit him with triangle attacks. He's also got this annoying long-range attack that's borderline impossible to dodge. For the second phase of the fight, Bohan will block almost every single attack or ranged attack. You instead just have to keep hitting them with your regular speed stance in order to get hits in. He'll occasionally throw projectiles at you, which are either regular speed stance or heavy, and you just tap triangle to deflect them, or R1 and triangle.
Hell is waiting for you, Nariko. It's calling you home.
Third phase is more of the same. Light attacks, dodge projectiles, and then Once Bohan is defeated, the crow escapes his body and pecks out his eyeballs. Roach shows up crying. And then
I'm gonna take care of you now. Please let me take you home.
You are truly the one sent from heaven, Nariko. You were chosen.
No, I chose. I chose my own way. And those of us who have died for this sword have died in vain. I'm not sent from heaven, Father. And neither is the sword.
Nariko.
Keep the sword safe. Hide it. Many people will try to take it from you. Will you do this for me?
Yes. Yes, I will, Nariko.
Father. Take care of Kai.
I will, I swear, Nariko.
Sony, of course, owns the Heavenly Sword IP, so they ended up commissioning Sony Cambridge, the developers of the Little Big Planet PSP game, to work on a sequel. Heavenly Sword was meant to be a trilogy. Both sequels had their full scripts completed, but other than the movie, this was the last we would ever see of the Heavenly Sword universe. Heavenly Sword 2 was cancelled alongside The Getaway 3 and 8 Days. One would assume that you would play as Kai in the sequel based on how this one ended, but leaked concept art for the game shows that Nariko didn't actually die at the end. I have a funny feeling that Nariko would be reborn as the villain of Heavenly Sword 2. Just little things point me in that direction, like the sword being deemed as a curse throughout the first game, Bohan saying,
Hell is waiting for you, Nariko. It's calling you home.
And Nariko telling the sword,
You can't even kill me. I won't let you kill me.
But ultimately, who knows? It's all such a shame. It ain't perfect, but this story and talent, given more time for polish, could have easily created one of the best hack and slash games I've played in my life. It's insane that a remaster that actually runs at 60 FPS or a remake that fixes the game's blemishes hasn't shown up yet. Again though, just use RPCS3. After beating this game 3 times just for this video, a bunch of times in the past, watching the movie twice, the animated series twice, and watching all of the making of content, I think I've got an unreasonably good grasp on this story. I'll use all that knowledge in the next video. Basically, I want to give the movie its own video.
So I was a big fan of the game before I thought of it as a movie. Big fan of all those types of games. They're all just really fun, and I grew up playing games, so knew quite a bit about the game world.
It's hilariously terrible, but it changes the story in some pretty cool and crazy ways. I'll now leave you with the epilogue at the end of the game. Thank you so much for watching this all the way through. Honestly, you're a legend. Enjoy the finale.
And a great warrior will be born, one that will lead our people out of darkness and show them the way to the promised land. And that you did, Nariko. That you did. You have freed us. The promised land is here and now.
change worlds, shape lives. But it can also make us blind. Only you saw clearly, Nariko. You saw the truth about the sword. Others worshipped it, murdered for it, but you mastered it. And all that strength, all that beauty was your own. I won't let you down, Nariko. I'll keep the sword safe. Maybe even forgotten. But I'll always remember you. Farewell, Nariko. May we meet again in a better world.